Well, howdy y'all, welcome back to The Social Regressive. Today we are showcasing two new products. This is the Palmetto State Armory AR-10. This is their mid-length 18-inch barrel. And this is just kind of a bog standard rifle, but with a couple of really cool upgrades. And from what I hear, these can be quite precise. And we're gonna put it to the test today because we're not dealing with close-up targets. We're gonna be dealing with 200 meters out through 500 meters. And this is just gonna be shooting good old M80 ball. So we'll see how it does. Now I have outfitted this with some very nice equipment to try to help us today. The first one is going to be the Falcon Endura scope that you see up top here. This is the S10i, and you guys know that I have raved for years about the S8i. It is my favorite LPVO. It's perfectly set up for close distances out through some pretty long ones. I've taken 600-yard shots with it, no problem. It just seems to be able to cope with everything, and the image quality through it is quite nice. But this is the successor, coming in at actually a slightly lower price tag at $400 instead of $420, and we're gonna see how this performs. This does have some really cool features, like it has locking turrets now, and it has an illuminated reticle just like before, but with that 1:10, that 10x zoom ratio on here, it should be a bit more capable than the last one, and we're gonna find out. All right, we have a semi-automatic rifle, right? Yes. I figure that I can hit these targets relatively quickly. Now that depends on my ballistics being good and my zero being good. This is actually the first time I'm shooting this rifle. Kedrick zeroed it, so if things go badly, it's his fault. Right. All right, do you see that dark chicken with the yellow spot? Yep. That's my first shot.
Okay. Looked like dead centered.
Okay, going back to 300.
Nice. Nope. Nice. Nice. Nope. Nice.
And heading back to turkeys, 1.7. How's the wind look to you, Mitch?
A little coming from the left.
Okay.
Maybe 4 mile an hour, maybe. Nice. Right.
All right, now here's where I have to get up and run to check or to move the other camera. Oh. How's it looking, Kedrick?
Good.
All right. I'm gonna go for that one with the big yellow dot on it.
Okay. Two rams looking like they're button heads.
Yep. All right, this is 3.4. And are you seeing a left wind about 4 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour?
Yeah, it looks like it's sped up a little bit.
Okay.
Nice. You basically you got that other black mark. That was awesome.
Okay, that was really stinking easy, guys. The Palmetto State Armory fans, I understand now. This thing rocks. Really, if I didn't have to reset cameras, I could probably just walk down here and start knocking these down.
Do it.
Okay, somebody else get up here and shoot this thing. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go!
HK slap.
You ready? Yep. Send it. One milliradian for the next one.
Thanks, Count.
Hit. 1.7.
1.7.
Oh, just under.
2.
Increase your hold just a little bit. Wind is nil. Beautiful.
That was 2.
Ram is 3.4. I see a black and white with a yellow dot.
2, 3, 3.4. Where did we hit?
I am not sure. Did not see. Horizontally, it was perfect. You might have hit the rail. Slight wind from the left. Oops. That was over, about 1 target high.
All right, I wonder if that first one hit it and just didn't knock it down.
It might have, because I didn't see any splash at all. Just over. Bring it down about 0.1. This could just be dispersion. This thing's heating up pretty fast. The suppressor looks like we could cook on it.
So, all right, we're just gonna hold for 3 then.
Hit.
There we go.
Nice shooting, Tex. We had one more shooter, Mitch, but we had an issue with his footage, so you'll see him in another video, but I had to leave this one on the cutting room floor, so you just see the 2 of us. But I have some of his notes, and we're gonna discuss some of this. We had kind of an after-action briefing to talk about how this rifle performed. Now, the one thing you're gonna notice, and the one thing that we noticed all day, is that this had no failures to fire, to feed, to extract or eject. This ran 100% reliably with everything except subsonics. This does have an adjustable gas block, and I had this at first on its kind of strictest setting for when we were shooting our kind of full power 7.62 by 51 ammo. And that was M80 ball, by the way. We just shot M80 ball, which is just bonkers. We were using inexpensive, you know, just kind of bulk military ammo, and that stuff was clustering up just great. We were able to very precisely get on target with it. But with the subsonics, I did try to open up the gas block and cycle those, and it wouldn't do it. Now, it did actually stabilize though, which is pretty darn cool. This is a 1 in 10 twist, 18-inch barrel, and with a big old 208 grain bullet, I wasn't really expecting it to stabilize. So I took the can off just to make sure there was no baffle strike. And then once I saw that they were not just stabilizing, but they were actually really accurate, I put the can back on. And yeah, it worked great, except for that extracting and ejecting. It wouldn't do it. Aside from that though, the rifle ran like a top, no issues whatsoever. We did have some accuracy issues, but it wasn't due to the rifle, it was actually due to the ammunition. And actually the ammunition, like I said, was very precise in this rifle. But what happened is, as the rifle started to heat up, you know, we had the can on it, so everything in here is just running hotter than normal. It's summer, and so as this started to get warm, it actually started increasing the velocities. Now, precision didn't seem to change, it's just that we had to give it less of a hold. We kept shooting over the target, and it took me a little bit to figure that out. I was actually looking at the footage after, I was like, oh, that's why we kept missing. But we had to go from a 3.4 mil hold initially when this was cold to a 3.0. And then 3.0 just, you know, drove him in there every single time. So that was kind of interesting. That ammo is kind of temperature sensitive. Ergonomics overall, we all found it relatively comfortable. It does have a pretty harsh recoil. It's 308. It's a lightweight rifle. This is 8 pounds. We'll do a full review on this later to talk about everything about it. But yeah, it's light, and it does have a bit of a punishing recoil even with the brake attached. Thankfully though, this does have a rubber butt pad on the MOE buttstock back here, so that helped just a little bit. The one thing that we all said that we would probably change is, because of that recoil, we would get the extra thick rubber pad that you can get for this. You can actually go out and get a Magpul branded MOE butt pad that is thicker, it's kind of hollowed out, and it gets you a little bit more of that, that softness so that your collarbone doesn't absorb all of that. But the comfort of the buttstock was quite nice. Getting my cheek on here felt really, really natural. I like the angle of the MOE, and it just felt like every time that I got my face onto the stock, it was just already pointing through the scope, so that felt really good. Some of the other things that we would swap out, in addition to that rubber butt pad on the back, we would get a large charging latch that would make it easier to run under a scope, something a little bit bigger so we could just quickly grab that and drag it. The spring pressure in here just, you know, is going to be higher than an AR-15. It's just harder to pull this back, and it's longer to pull it back. So if I had a little bit of extra purchase, that would have been really nice. We also really didn't have a problem with the grip down here. It's a thin A2 grip that's rubberized. It feels nice, especially when you're standing and shooting. But when it comes to the prone, I'm going to want more of a vertical grip. So I think I would go with either the Magpul MOE grip or the Zeroed, or as Mitch said, the one of the Bravo company ones is really vertical. Drop something on here that just kind of keeps the wrist from kinking up when you're in the prone. And if it fills the palm like you're going to get with the MOE or the Zeroed, then all the better. I have somewhat largish hands, and this feels kind of skinny in mine. The only other thing that, you know, over time, like, okay, you could take this rifle out right now and just go shoot it, and it's going to be great. You're going to love it. But just over time, little bits and bobs to swap out. The only other thing that I would swap is the trigger. The trigger is a 2-stage, but it's not a particularly good example of a 2-stage. It's very smooth. Okay, so you get the kind of slack take up. That's the first stage. And when you get to the second stage with a good one, it's usually just a hard shelf. You pull through it, and then it snaps. And you know, it doesn't actually move. You just increase pressure and it snaps. This one's not like that. It feels more like a really, really good pistol trigger, sorta. You do get some very smooth creep, and then it breaks. You don't get a solid shelf. That's one of the things that would hold this back from ultimate accuracy. As you can see, it did fine. So in practical use, I think it's not an issue, but eventually I would want to swap this over to something from Rise, Trigger Tech, CMC, something like that. That's gonna be crisper, and especially if I can get a single stage, that'd be pretty darn cool. Let's talk about how this is configured. The configuration on this worked out really well, and I'm going to put links. I'm going to put a link down in the description so you can go to a web page that I've set up. It just has a little bit more review data on this and what this was like to actually shoot, and it's also going to break down each individual part and show you what I used to put this rifle together and how it all worked together. You can click on those links and you can just directly purchase them through there. So yeah, I'll put that down below. But as configured, you know, this is a very simple couple upgrades that I did, or not upgrades, just stuff that I put on it to make it work. And I really think that this is exactly how I would want to take this out into the field. If I'm hunting hogs and I don't know what kind of distances I'm dealing with, I want this scope. This is that Falcon S8 or S10i, which I very highly recommend now. I could choose to dial with the turrets up here, or I could choose to use that reticle. If I'm dealing with stuff that's really close up, I just crank it back to 1x. I can throw on the illumination for that center dot, and then it's daylight bright. I can just pop, pop, pop. Take out maybe charging hogs or other, you know, kind of close range difficult animals. And then if I want to be able to deal with some animals that are at a farther distance, or maybe these are, you know, defensive targets that I'm trying to deal with that are a little further out, I can just crank it up to 10x and either use the reticle or dial, and both of them are going to work really well. Now, we did have one little bobble with the Falcon S10i, which overall was even better than I expected it to be, but it did have one tiny issue. If you have unlocked the turret and you've spun it around to 5 milliradians, for example, it's not pointing directly at the paint. The paint is off just a tiny little bit on there, and so you just have to see which, you know, side it's closest to. It's actually not that far off, so it's not too difficult to find. But Mitch was our dialer, and so he was the one that found that. Kedrick and I both just used the reticle to make our shots, so we just adjusted using the Christmas tree, and then he was our sole dialer, and so he's the one that found that issue. Not a big deal. It works great, and everything on here for me just worked out spectacularly. Being able to take, you know, a 500-meter shot with a little LPVO like this one, not a problem at all. I actually found it really easy. Moving forward, we have the UTG Overbore Bipod, which I've done a full review on. I'll put a link to it up here so you can check that out. This is a highly recommended bipod. This is one that self-levels, and as you can see, if I pick this up, I'm going to loosen it up so that it can cant all at once, and the rifle doesn't want to fall over. It wants to go with gravity. It wants to settle right down. And so getting a perfect cant on this is easy. You can also pan this, and you can change how easy it is to pan, but you can use this to track through moving game, and then just overall stability is out of this world. Highly recommend this bipod. Moving forward, this is not what came with the rifle. This did not come with a muzzle brake. It actually came with a birdcage flash hider that I've put in the bag, but this is my adapter for my suppressor and a muzzle brake. So this helps to tame that recoil. And that is one upgrade that you should probably consider in the future as well, just because of that recoil. In total, my whole notes for this rifle, it's just amazing. Back in the day, you could not get an AR-10 for anything less than like $1,500. You know, maybe you could get one for $1,200. and they weren't all that reliable, or in some cases they weren't even all that accurate, but a lot of that has been smoothed out. Now is the time to be taking a look at the AR-10. They've got them figured out. PSA has put together a really good one, CMMG as well, the one that we tested before. These are very precise, they are reliable, and as long as you get one that's built by one manufacturer, you're not going to get into some of the weirdness where you have incompatible parts. Buy one like this PSA that's put all together and every part is in the right place and everything's running right, and you're going to be a really happy hunter. And then when it comes to that forward defense that we talked about in another video, I'll put a link to that one. This is going to be much more capable than a 223 AR-15. This is something that you can more reliably make hits out at longer distances with more energy, and you're just going to have, it's just more of a force to bring to bear. An AR-10 like this one used to be $1,500 and now you're looking at $880 for this one. Check out the link that I put down in the description below so you can get a link to this exact model with all the parts configured, you know, as tested. And I really highly recommend it. It's going to be a do-anything rifle that you can take out on a hunt where you're not sure what kind of distances you're dealing with, or if there are multiple animals you might be dealing with, and especially if those animals are going to be a bit on the heavier side. And yeah, this is something that I could throw on my back, something I could put in a quad or something, and this is just going to be able to go anywhere and do anything. And one of the really great things about considering this for kind of a defensive homeland or defensive area rifle is that the National Guard armories are going to be full of the ammunition for this. It's nice to have something that's compatible with, you know, U.S. military standards, and so this is going to be able to shoot all that ammo like the M80 or M118. Thanks a bunch for watching. We'll get a little bit closer up with the rifle, and we'll get closer up with the scope in 2 other videos. I will see you all around. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Even if you didn't like this particular content, go ahead and subscribe. There's probably something coming that's more up your alley. Check out this playlist right here. This is going to have videos in a similar vein to what you just watched. These 2 videos we cherry-picked for you. And finally, The Social Regressive is on Patreon. So you can become a patron of the Destructive Arts and earn some goodies while helping us to provide high-quality videos just by kicking us a few bucks a month. Thanks a bunch for your patronage.